Hi and welcome to my Golden Doodle Diary. I'm Joanna and this is Sophie, and I'm so glad to have you here with us. Today I'm talking about 5 clever things to know which will help you with training your Golden Doodle, Groodle, Doodle, or for that matter, any breed of dog you may have. These are super useful things to know, especially for training a puppy, or if you've not heard of them before, for training and communicating with your adult dog. But firstly, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to this channel and leave a like if you find the content helpful. Also, talk to me in the comments below because I love to hear from you. So without any further ado, let's get into it. The first really useful thing to know is that you can teach your dog with hand signals. Just remember, each time you teach your dog anything new, pair the spoken commands with hand motions. I still advocate teaching verbal commands because that's more natural for us people, but it's also useful to have associated hand gestures. Once a command is learned, you can use the hand signal without having to say a word and your dog will understand. Here's me giving Sophie visual cues only for the commands she knows. Where this comes in handy is when, say, you need to give a command at a distance. In practice, this is how it looks for us. My hand signal for stay is to hold my index finger. To strengthen the stay command when I'm moving away from Sophie, such as when I'm crossing the road, I hold the gesture. When I drop my hand and slap my legs, it's her visual cue to come to me. This next fact is related to the hand signals I just mentioned, but it's something I want to expand on specifically. And that is using pointing as a means of communicating. Dogs have an incredible innate ability to understand what we mean when we point at things, without really needing to be taught. It's actually a more complex form of communication when you think about it, because when we point at something, our intention is to bring attention to the space beyond our finger in a certain direction. Not only that, it's where we want them to either look or to go to. It's not something that makes any sense to most other animals like your hamster or your bird or your cat. I constantly find myself pointing when communicating with Sophie, like when I throw her a frisbee and it falls somewhere in the grass where she doesn't see it. I point to where it lands and she knows to go look for it in that direction. Or in everyday life, I'd point to show her where I need her to go. I had a lot of success using pointing with Sophie, and if you don't already, I'd encourage you to try it on your dog. The next thing to know about is to be mindful of having a so-called release word for whatever commands you teach your dog to do. What I mean by this is when you engage your dog in a training session and give a command like sit, stay, down or whatever, you need to have an understanding about how long they are to hold that command. In other words, they need to hold that command until you instruct them to finish it by giving the release word. Otherwise, they may obey your command but maybe hold it for a couple of seconds until they decide when to finish. The specific release word I use for Sophie is okay. What it means is, okay, we're finished now and you're free to do whatever you want to now. Another great thing to bear in mind when training is to talk to your puppy with a high-pitched, fun voice. That's especially relevant to you fellas out there because I think women are more inclined to talk to puppies in that way anyway. It's something Simon learnt from the teacher at puppy school because he wasn't having much success with getting Sophie's attention. She told him, "Use your tight underpants voice." Until then, he had spoken to Sophie in a low, unexcited voice. As an aside, nowadays when we're having a conversation amongst ourselves and get really animated using high-pitched voices, Sophie comes running to us because she thinks we're trying to get her attention. So to be more successful at getting your puppy or dog's attention, use your fun, high-pitched, tight underpants voice. My final tip is also most relevant for puppy training, and that's to go with the puppy's own flow. What I mean by this is when they're naturally exploring and happen to spontaneously do something on their own accord, like sitting, you quickly say a command word and, if you like, a hand signal and praise them for it. It's kind of like training in reverse because you're not making them do something because they're already doing it. Of course, it's not applicable to all commands. I mean, your puppy probably won't give you a spontaneous handshake, but it's a nice way to ease puppies into learning. The proviso with this method is you must observe closely and give the command immediately within about 2 seconds of them doing what they're doing, followed by praise or a treat if you have one handy. If you're too late with calling out the command, their brains won't register the association. So let's say they're running towards you. You call out, come in your tight underpants voice, then reward them with praise and or food once they come to you. Same as when they're doing their toileting business in exactly the part of the garden you want them to do it in. The very moment they start to relieve themselves, you say, go potty, then praise them when they're finished. The idea is that you reward certain behaviour and you're training their brain to do it some more. Well, I hope that was helpful. Leave me a comment down below and let me know how you're getting on with your dog training, and we hope to see you again really soon. Bye for now. Oh, good girl, Sophie.